Okay, it's about 10 o'clock, so we can go ahead and get going. My name is Leslie Doyle, and I will be providing a webinar discussing the Louisiana Early Childhood Key Training Modules for our second RFA. So this is the second release for applications that we have in a series of 3 RFAs. The purpose of this webinar is for potential applicants to obtain clarification on the requirements of the RFA and to receive answers to any relevant questions that you may have. We're going to start by overview of the Louisiana Early Childhood Key Training Modules. We're going to talk a little bit about what they are. We're going to discuss the request for applications, the criteria to which each application will be evaluated. We will go over the module structure that you will be developing if your application is approved. We will talk about the RFA timeline, and then I will give you time to ask any questions and to get contact information. So let's look at the overview of Louisiana Key Training Modules. To offer the very best in quality professional development training opportunities and build efficiencies that save money at every level of the system over time, the department is seeking proposals for Louisiana Early Childhood Key Training Modules. We know that many of you offer professional development in early childhood. So basically what we were trying to do was leverage the expertise that we already have within our field and share that expertise across the state. So what are Louisiana Early Childhood Key Training Modules? Louisiana Early Childhood Key Training Modules are a set of accessible, high-quality trainings designed by experts on best practices in the field of early childhood. Once created, these modules will be branded by the Louisiana Department of Education and shared with key professional development vendors across the state to be used for redelivery. The design of each training module will incorporate activities and presentation methods appropriate for adult learners to ensure that trainers, coaches, community leaders, and directors can provide quality trainings on the subjects that matter most for supporting child development. The Louisiana Department of Education is seeking proposals for trainings that will improve the quality of early childhood care and education for children birth to 5 in our state. So if you are chosen to create a session for the Louisiana's Early Childhood Key Training Modules, you will be increasing the quality of training available to early childhood teachers across the state, ultimately better preparing teachers to lead classrooms that are rich in high-quality learning. We'll be doing this by identifying the expertise, research, and strategies that should be accessible to all of Louisiana's early childhood teachers. We'll be sharing the highest quality trainings and resources currently available to Louisiana's early childhood teachers with a broader audience of educators. And we'll be providing easy-to-use resources for Louisiana's professional development vendors, allowing them to refine and improve their training offerings. So we know that all of our PD vendors take time in their schedule to build out the professional development that they present. By providing our PD vendors, our CCR&R, our lead agencies, with these trainings, we'll be freeing up some of your time by giving you these high-quality trainings that you can use and present to your teachers. Possible applicants. The department will contract with selected subject matter experts to create Louisiana Early Childhood Key Training Modules. Who can apply for Louisiana Early Childhood Key Training modules? Applicants may apply as an individual, as a group, or on behalf of an organization. Considered applicants must have experience in working on projects similar in size, scope, technical requirements, and function to the proposed contract. Individuals interested in designing and developing Louisiana Early Childhood Key Training Modules for RFA2 must complete the application for consideration that's linked here. Louisiana Early Childhood Key Training Modules application, also linked here. This application must describe the module that would be developed if you were selected. The full module doesn't need to be created at the time of application. The only thing that you need to turn in by June 3rd is the application itself and the required parts that the application is asking you to describe. Once an announcement is made of contractors, then you can begin working on creating the actual module. Louisiana Early Childhood Key Training Module applications should be emailed as a PDF document to leslie.doyle@la.gov by June 3rd, 2019. So here's a little bit more detail about what Louisiana Early Childhood Key Training Modules are. Like I mentioned earlier, this is the department's second of 3 requests for applications to build a comprehensive set of Louisiana Early Childhood Key Training Modules. Each of the 3 RFAs responds to one of 3 focused training areas and requests the submission of proposals for training modules that address a specific set of topics. The RFA release for each focused training area has been staggered throughout 2019. A tentative timeline for the request for applications for each of these 3 focused training areas is listed below. So in February 2019, we released the RFA for Focused Training Area 1, Early Childhood Tools and Standards. Earlier in May, we released this RFA, RFA2 for Effective Adult-Child Interactions. And later in June, we will tentatively release the 3rd RFA regarding management and leadership. And these dates are, of course, subject to change. So let's look a little closer at RFA1 and what we received. The department released the first RFA on February 19th, and after reviewing several applications from local and national early childhood experts and professional development vendors, 8 contracts were awarded, spanning the 4 priority module topics related to early childhood tools and standards. The modules developed as a result of the Louisiana Key Training Modules RFA1 will address topics and competencies related to standards, curriculum, assessment, and the integration of these tools. So as you can see from looking at the chart, those were the 4 module topics: Module 1A Standards, Module 1B Curriculum, Module 1C Assessment, and Module 1D Integrated Approaches. The contractors are also listed. So you can see we have universities, early childhood ancillary programs, we have R&Rs, we have our teaching strategies, which is our assessment, one of our assessment vendors. They're created gold. So we have several different qualified experts that are working to create these modules. So now is your opportunity to be involved in the early childhood key training modules and share your expertise with Louisiana's early childhood workforce. So let's look at our request for applications too. The modules developed as a result of the Louisiana Key Training Modules RFA2 will address topics and competencies related to effective adult-child interaction. When considering topics to create trainings for Louisiana Key Training Modules RFA2, here are some questions to consider. How can early childhood teachers further child development through effective interactions? What activities might be included to strengthen a teacher's interactions with children? How can teachers reflect upon their current practice to improve their interactions with children? What class domains do teachers need the most support in demonstrating improvement? What information and supports do early childhood teachers require to intentionally engage and support diverse learner needs? So this RFA was structured a little bit differently than RFA1. RFA1, we told you the topic to cover when creating your module. For this one, it'll address the focused area that's related to adult-child interactions, and applicants will have the freedom to develop the structure of their proposed session as you see fit. Items that are listed under possible topics are just suggestions, and each suggestion is not required to contain all suggested topics. So you have the freedom of building a session that is related to that module focus, and you can structure it however you want. So here's an example. The first module 2A is relating to understanding the principles of child development and learning to support interactions. So possible topics may include knowing and understanding young children's characteristics and needs, knowing and understanding the multiple influences on early development and learning, using developmental knowledge to create healthy, respectful, supportive, and challenging learning environments for young children, understanding brain development and learning, understanding language and literacy progression, understanding physical, emotional, cognitive, and social development of young children. There are topics that you may have in mind that are not included on this chart, and that's fine. It could be included. You may want to group things together and structure it how you want. So there's a lot more freedom in developing these modules. Module 2B will relate to supporting high-quality interactions to strengthen teacher approaches towards supporting child growth and learning. So Module 2B is about supporting high-quality interactions. For these, within this module, I kind of think about the domains and the dimensions of class. So possible topics could be providing consistent and responsive caregiving, building warm, positive, and nurturing relationships, providing emotional and behavioral support, supporting emotional expression and regulation, promoting socialization, guiding behavior, facilitating concept development, supporting reasoning and problem solving, promoting language exchange, and expanding expressive and receptive language and vocabulary. Once again, you can group it however you see fit. If you want to focus maybe on a specific age level or a specific domain, it's however you would like to design your module. Module 2C will relate to differentiating interactions to meet a child's needs. Teachers need support to interact appropriately and effectively in classrooms with diverse learners and needs. So some possible topics could be supporting individualized learners through play, creating an inclusive learning environment, supporting dual language learners, supporting children with speech and language needs, understanding and supporting young children with adverse childhood experiences, understanding and supporting children with behavioral challenges and needs, supporting the development and identification of children with special needs, supporting effective transitions into kindergarten, and engaging families to support effective adult-child interaction. So, criteria for evaluation. How are we going to know which applications to select to go ahead and create our final module? The application for consideration, Louisiana Early Childhood Key Training Module applications, will be assessed on the following criteria. So first, we look at experience, knowledge, qualifications for creating a professional development training module. So that's why you include your resume or your VITA. List out all of the experience that you have in working with the field, all of the trainings that you have maybe created yourself or that you are certified in. Let us know if you are class reliable in infant, toddler, and pre-K. Explain as best as you can. So we're looking at candidates being able to provide the expertise necessary to develop high quality, effective, professional resources and materials for Louisiana Early Childhood Key Training modules. We are looking at an applicant's likelihood of demonstrating successful past experience with related projects and ongoing or recently completed activities related to professional development opportunities. That's why I mentioned earlier, listing out any trainings that you have created in the past. In addition, the applicant for consideration will be assessed based on the foundational plan outlined by the applicant. Foundational plans for providing a professional development training module that will equip teachers and on-site leaders with the knowledge, skills, and competencies necessary for providing meaningful classroom interactions and learning experiences for children. This plan should include a module description with clear learning objectives that build teacher competency, a detailed outline of the training module supported by research on effective professional learning practices, a plan for building participant engagement through reflection, discussion, and collaborative learning strategies. Methods for assessing participant understanding. Citations and descriptions of empirical research related to the training module. And as an optional part of the application, you are welcome to submit a previously created sample content module, a training session that you have maybe created in the past that you're pretty proud of. You can submit so we can get a feel of previous work that you have already completed. Here's a few lessons that were learned while we were looking over the applicants from RFA1. So while reviewing applications, we've outlined strategies to strengthen the quality of proposals for Louisiana Early Childhood Key Training modules. The main thing is be specific. Make sure that your outline paints a clear description of the proposed training session. Include as much detail as you'd like. Include the minutes of how long you think this section of the training would last, how long into the training, how long will this activity take. Include as much details as you can. Be explicit of all of your experience and expertise in early childhood and designing projects of similar scale. So brag a little on yourself. Let us know all the training that you've gone through. Let us know exactly how define your expertise within the early childhood workforce. Include citations of all of the research that serves as the foundation for your training. That's a required part within the application. Be engaging. Find ways to make your proposed training session stand out. Ensure you are incorporating an understanding of how adults learn best into your module description. And here's a little bit look at the module structure. Once again, this is not what you're submitting during the application period. This is what you will submit if you are chosen or selected to build the key training module. So once applicants are selected, they will work with the department to create training modules that rely on research-based best practices. These modules must be ready-to-go presentations that can be easily redelivered. So the module structure. Through funding and technical support, Louisiana Early Childhood Key Training contractors will design and develop shareable training modules that contain all materials necessary for redelivery. Specifically, once designed, all modules must include pre-work and pre-assessment, PowerPoint presentations, participant engagement activities, a training manual with facilitator notes, handouts, and evaluation tools. So, pre-work. When I'm talking about pre-work will include any preparation assignments that will be provided to training participants prior to the training module. This may include a brief description of the training module, the training agenda, or reading and activities. It could also include questions to think about prior to the training. Also, a pre-assessment will accompany each module so that we can assess the participants' understanding of the objectives before the training. PowerPoint presentations. PowerPoint presentations must be provided for each training module using Louisiana Early Childhood Key Training Module slide templates and following the Louisiana Department of Education Communication Style Guide. Slides will offer key talking points for the presenters delivering the module. However, presenters will have the freedom to expand upon topics using the speaker's notes and the facilitator's personal knowledge. Participant engagement activities. Opportunities for participant engagement will be embedded into each presentation to give participants a chance to interact with the materials and process the information in a variety of formats, such as talking with a partner, a larger group discussion, personal reflection through writing, all of those great examples. Training manual with facilitator notes. The detailed speaker's notes will accompany each slide. Text will be formatted, informing the facilitator what information needs to be read out loud, what information is excerpted directly from the presentation slides, and what information is intended as directions or notes for the facilitator. Handouts. Each training manual will also include handouts that may be used when presenting the module. The handouts are intended to help participants begin to synthesize and apply learned content to their own context. Facilitators should be aware of the participants' level of understanding and implementation. And finally, evaluation tools. Evaluation tools will be provided for participants to reflect upon their learning and indicate a successful transfer to practice and/or assess acquisition of knowledge and skills. So if your application is selected, you will be building a module containing all of these parts that define the structure. Module structure, platform, and length. If selected, you will create a 2-hour module providing high-quality professional development training on research-based best practices while leveraging all available expertise. Module platform and length. Once created, these training modules will be redelivered to teachers and directors across the state by approved professional development vendors using PowerPoint presentations, audio and video, resources, and handouts. Each training module will consist of 2 hours of professional development training. Contractors should be sensitive to varying learning styles and modalities, as well as educational levels and experience while designing each module. Applicants may propose on their application to develop a series of modules depending on content. The department expects the contracts for design of multiple 2-hour module sessions that address the focus topics listed in Section 3 of the RFA. The review process between the department and selected contractors will be frequent and collaborative to ensure a successful final product. Each selected contractor must revise each module at least once based on feedback, and potentially more frequently, to ensure the highest quality of presentation for the early childhood workforce. Contractor must incorporate feedback from the LDOE, and the department must provide final sign-off before release, which may require an additional round of feedback. Contractors will receive funding for the training, but will not be required to redeliver the training as part of the contract for the module development. $10,000 will be awarded to selected applicants to build each Louisiana Key Training module. A portion of these funds will be provided following approval of the initial process, with the remaining balance awarded at the completion of the module. Selected applicants must commit to completion and submission of satisfactory deliverables found within the training module. Upon contract completion, the department will have the right to access, modify, and distribute the materials created as part of the Louisiana Key Training module process. Here's the RFA2 timeline. So the RFA was released on May 3rd, and the informational webinar, we're having it today, May 14th. Applications will be due to the department June 3rd, and contractors will be announced on the 14th. From the 14th to August 31st, I extended that closing date a little bit. For those 2.5 months, the contractors will work with the department to provide revised proposals for module development and submit drafts, receive feedback until a final product is ready. On August 31st, the final key training module and all materials will be due to the department, and we are working on developing a one-time train the trainer session hosted by the department, with hopes to get this set of modules out into the field this fall. Okay. If you have any questions, feel free to type them into the group chat settings or email me at leslie.doyle@la.gov, or you can also read our FAQ document, may have the answers to some of your questions. So I'll wait a little while to see if I have any questions on the line. Hi, the first question I have is how many proposals do you anticipate approving this round? We don't really have a set number that we are looking for. I guess we're mainly looking at the strength of the application and obviously what's in the application. The reason why we kind of were giving people a little bit more freedom of how they want to develop their module is because when specifically looking at the adult-child interactions, which is Module 2B, I don't want to dictate how you should organize it. Did you maybe want to organize it based on domains of class? Or did you want to organize it by age group, by infant, toddler, and pre-K? So I didn't want to specify that. So I know that we're going to be receiving a lot of different types of modules and a lot of different structures within. So we don't have a set amount that we are going to be approving. We're just mainly going to be looking at quality found within the application. Nancy asks, what about getting approvals if needed? Will LBOE do that? Nancy, what type of approvals are you looking for? Are you talking about copyright approvals or? If it's an article, yes, you would be citing the information within your module. You would be citing any articles using the correct citation formatting. As far as pictures, photographs, and YouTube articles, there's a section in the FAQ that references that. But once again, this is only for the application section of this. You don't need to worry about those kind of specifics until you are chosen to do the actual module creation. Okay, are there any more questions? Okay, if you think of a question later, feel free to email and let me know. And if I think it's something that's worth sharing with everyone, I will include it on the FAQ document so that everyone can see it. This webinar will be pulled down shortly, and I will be posting the webinar and the video from the webinar on our website. And it will also appear on our newsletter that we have going out on May 23rd. So check our newsletter or check our website to get it. And if there are no other questions, then I will let y'all go and have a good rest of your Tuesday. Thank you for being here. Bye.